Yo guys, welcome to my review on Redemption Reapers. In this video, I'm going to go over both the good and the bad on the game Redemption Reapers. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The game starts off as a girl named Sarah seeing a village get decimated by the Morgue. The Morgue are monsters that kill humans. The story doesn't really explain where they come from. You have to kind of think of them as like orcs from Lord of the Rings. The game is a tactical RPG that uses a grid system. You eventually get 5 characters to use. Each character has their own personality and style. You have a dagger, bow, axe, sword, and spear. You can do story missions or skirmish missions. You unlock skirmish missions after the story missions. I found skirmish missions were only worth it if you missed a relic or a chest. When you start your first story mission, the game does a great job with tutorials to get you started and to get the feel of the game. I feel there could have been a few more on how to switch weapons in combat. Around the battlefield you'll see relics and chests. You have to walk one of your guys over to grab it, and this is how you upgrade your weapons. So finding new weapons, finding materials to upgrade your weapons, and like ignits to sell to get some gold. There are fights as well that require different conditions to win. One, you have to kill a commander, some you have to escort an NPC across the map while you protect them, some you just have to survive. At times, the NPC escort missions can be kind of annoying because they will literally run into a pack of monsters, so you can't really just make sure everything is dead. You have to follow them around, keep the NPC surrounded, make sure nothing hits it or it pretty much dies in one hit. Usually they can heal themselves twice, so they can take a couple hits before they die, but if they focus fire on him, chances are they're going to be killing him. Since we're on the topic of AI, you'll end up starting to notice that some of your party members will get targeted more than others. I found the bow and spear character most of the time got hit first if they were within range of the melee characters, followed up by your tank axe wieldy guy. Once you figure that out, you can use your axe wieldy guy to attract pretty much everything that's melee, and then have him counterattack while your sword and dagger guy just stand there and look pretty while your axe guy gets hit up most of the time. I use this strategy a lot with the axe guy because he has an ability that does like an AoE attack, so if you get hit by like 4 melee guys, you just counterattack each one of them, then they're almost dead, and then you use his AoE attack and you just wipe them all out, and then one guy will take out 4 monsters. Once you figure out how to manipulate the AI with that, you can definitely make some of the fights a lot easier. When it came to casting monsters, I found they attacked the sword guy more because they had a high chance to hit. They usually avoided the archer and your dagger person because they can evade the hits like 40-50% of the time. It's usually pretty safe taking the dagger person in there and attacking the mage. They will attack if there's no one else to attack, however with that low chance to hit, chances of evading it are pretty good. One last thing I'll talk about when it comes to the combat is there are some fights that have like 50 monsters on there and they keep spawning more. Depending on the fight, sometimes you have to hit a trigger point before the monsters will move and come towards you. And there's other fights too where monsters like spawn a bunch of enemies and it's really annoying. I wish there was an option where you can skip a lot of those animations. Just have everything move at once, because there's one fight later on in the game, which I'll show in a video, that has like 50 monsters and then they all move one after the other after the other. It's just like, alright, come on. And then you do 6 turns and then you gotta watch all that again while more monsters spawn, so it just slowly gets longer. It gets really tedious after a while. So much movement. When it comes to the sound design and music of this game, I think it was definitely one of the best parts of the game. The music in this game is incredible and really pulls you in with the dark tone of the game. Redemption Reapers really uses music to build the tension throughout the game. The sound design is also very good, as I mentioned before. You can really feel the impact of the weapons hitting the monsters with the great sound design. Here's an example of how good the music and the sound is in the game. Another bonus thing about the game is it's really well optimized. There's no like frame drop rates, the load times are good, and it just runs like smooth as butter. When it came to the videos, I feel like there could have been a little bit more work done. A lot of the videos were great, but for me, like, one thing that stood out the most is like if a Mord swung a weapon at a civilian or something and it looked like it hit him in the back of the neck, there was like a huge gap there, like every single time they did it, and then all the blood splatter would come from like the front of the face instead of like the back of the neck. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. There's also a skill system in the game that allows you to customize your characters a little bit. I found like with a lot of the characters, you're kind of pigeonholed to take certain ones first. So for instance, the spear guy had like a counter attack before being attack thing that saved him from dying for me like a whole bunch of times. You also have to get accuracy, like you will miss like 50% of the time. It is really frustrating. It's like, alright, I've surrounded this guy, and then everybody misses. It's just, it drives you crazy. There's also another ability that the spear guy has where you can leech life, so like 50% of your damage, you recoup his life. It's kind of necessary to keep him alive without having to use all your flasks or having everybody else heal them. Each character definitely has their role and their strengths and weaknesses, but I just wish there was a little bit more freedom with the customization. You get SP or skill points when you level up, but it's hard to like do a skirmish map while leveling up, because you need the gold to repair your weapons, and gold is very scarce. I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. So you kinda have to use your points sparingly. At the beginning of the game, you do not unlock all abilities, but as the game progresses and gets harder and your guys level up, they get new abilities, and they even have like limit breaks. But I found I didn't really use them all that often because it took all of your AP, which is like your ability points. So every turn I think you got like 6. So in order to use a limit break, you had to have like 3 turns to build up your AP without doing an attack to do like 350% damage, and then there's like a few buffs that it will give to your party members as well. Speaking of buffs and debuffs, I really think that this game did a great job on making them actually impactful. Like if you get hit with an attack down or a defense down, like with the attack down, if you normally hit for like 15, you'll start hitting for like 3. Whereas a lot of games you only lose like 10% damage, so I feel like that's really impactful because there's certain monsters that like counterattack that put those debuffs on you, and you kind of have to use range to kill them so they don't counterattack and hit you with the buff or debuff. When it comes to weapons and stuff, you have to kind of be careful because of the repair costs. Like if you find this like really good weapon and then you use it in a fight and it breaks, it's like, oh, this is going to cost me 1,000 gold, but I didn't even make 1,000 gold from that fight, so you have to be careful with it. The game never really told you this, or at least I didn't see it, but you can actually have more than like 1 or 2 weapons on your guys. I thought the inventory was just for, you know, looting chests and stuff. But you can hit R1 or L1 to switch between the weapons, so say you're fighting like a hard pack of monsters, then you can use your like big weapons to like really plow them down or whatever, and then switch back to your weak weapon to hit the single target guys or like pick off the weak ones or whatever. But pretty much once your weapon is done, you kind of have to throw it away for like the big ones and keep like your little ones but upgrade them a little bit. Early in the video I mentioned gold. Gold is very sparse in this game, so you get gold by selling ignits or gems to upgrade your weapons. I wish there was like more ignits because it's like I wanted to use the crafting system, but I found that I had to sell all my crafting materials to be able to repair my weapons, so it kind of made the crafting system a little bit irrelevant. There is a new game plus in the game. I'm not going to play it, but maybe that had something to add to the crafting system or make it easier to get gold. So that may possibly give you better rewards in a skirmish match, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to check it out. I'll let you guys let me know in the comments down below if that's the case. There's also a crafting system in the game that allows you to upgrade your weapons. I didn't really use this a whole lot because, like I mentioned earlier, I had to sell a lot of the crafting gems to get gold. But every like low tier weapon, I'll call it, your first craft is going to give it damage, then accuracy. I only really did the first craft for damage because if you upgrade your weapons too much, they get more and more expensive to repair. So you kind of want to have like your lower tier weapons like as cheap as possible so you can use them for like most of the fight and then be able to repair them after the fight with the amount of gold that you make. So outside of that, I didn't really use the crafting system at all. If they expanded on it and made it better, or like if this game had armor and then you can use your crafting with that, that would be great. It might be able to open up more options, but the game only had weapons. For my final thoughts on the game, I personally think this game is in the right direction. I think a little bit better explaining of the story would help immensely. Not knowing where the Mord came from, and with the final fight having a bit of closure with what happened with the refugees and the Mord would have been nice. I love how the game ended in terms of our heroes though. It was a very nice cinematic. I would also like to see more things to do outside of story missions. There was a bonus skirmish match which had some really good weapons in it, but it was kind of hidden, and if you didn't look at the skirmishes you probably would have never seen it. More stuff like that would have been nice. Maybe some side quests or something as well to learn things about other characters that you don't play, but just like NPCs, like their background. They explained a few of them, but not like all of them. I would definitely recommend picking this game up on sale. It's probably around a 25-hour game. For my rating, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It just needed a little bit more to boost it from a good game to a great game. It definitely has potential, and I'll probably play the next one if they make a Redemption Reapers too. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It'll help the channel out a lot. Thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great day.